So, little history on you. You been in real estate? What am I in your way? That's okay? Yep.
Yes, I've been in real estate for 8 years, starting out as a property manager and naturally stepped into sales and then went into property development, which is now my core business of, I guess, income. To answer that properly, I would say I'm a deal maker. I'm in many industries and many businesses. But yeah, I'm here to talk about property development.
Okay. And you're stationed on the Gold Coast here?
Yes, I am.
In fact, you're only a little while. You've got a beautiful office in Robina. Just moved in.
Yeah, we're in the Rocket building, which is nice.
It's good. You negotiated an unbelievable deal on the rental. Now, you've been in this 9 years or so. You've done, with your partner, a couple of hundred transactions. You've done personally, like the transaction we're looking at here, maybe 20, 30 of those types of transactions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what I want to do is show you this transaction that he's put together. And we're doing some of these together, Cade 9. And he's come along to do this program to share with you this, but also he's come for himself in the sense of for his own learning and his own stages. There are another growth area for you in all this. You learn some things. Always. Absolutely. Biggest room in the world. Okay, so let's have a look at this transaction. And Cade, you might want to, we might just, can you see right there we are?
Yeah, I can.
You can kind of see it's like very vague because it doesn't show up too good digitally here, but we're in the Gold Coast area. And it's in the Tweed, really, that one, isn't it? That's the Tweed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just over the border, so it's a New South Wales transaction. Okay, we'll go to the next one. And although you can't see it too well, that's a big block of land. There's a second block of land that's a bit off the screen. That one's about 1,100 odd square metres. And the second
front one's 1,150, the rear block is 770 from memory.
Okay, so there's 2 blocks of land. These are on the market for about 170,000, 180,000.
Yeah, they actually went to auction considering their ex-government land, which is, the word they use is resume. So they take it back off people, which they forcibly do. They get valuations, pay people what they consider is a fair market value for the property, use that land for, I guess, the better good for the whole community. And in this case, they were selling back the portion of the land that they didn't end up using. Okay, it's got 2 street frontages, so it enables you to put two places there. It actually holds 2 separate titles, so it's 2 blocks of land next door to each other. I've just purchased both of them as a package.
Okay, so we move on to the next, and that's a bit of a shot from the plot looking back. Yeah, let's move on. And that's the expressway. Whoa. So if you walked out the door with your umbrella, you could, it's called close to transport. Now, a local, seeing that, the agents have trouble selling that because it's too noisy. Anyone ever lived by a train line? Anyone ever done that? And anyone lived near a main road? Yep. And after a while, the mind just gets used to it, and then you don't even hear the trains. But when visitors come, you know, they hear everything. But after a while, it's like when you live by the ocean. After a while, you don't hear the ocean. When visitors come, oh, look at the ocean. You know, it's like when you have a view. After a while, you don't even see the view. Mind gets used to things very quickly. So, what would you say, Cade? This is the kind of local agents who have trouble.
Yes, so in my experience as a real estate agent, the general buyer that comes along and looks to purchase a property in the market is somebody who's wanting to build a home on a block of land to reside in, bring their family up in, etc., etc. So that noise issue from the Gold Coast Highway, as well as pollution, is a major issue. But the biggest point that people think about when they look at the block of land is they're thinking about their perceived value of this property when it comes time to sell it. So they know they could build a house there. They probably could be happy enough to live in it at a price. There would be a price that they would be happy enough to live in it, but they won't buy it because they're too worried that come time to sell the house that they've built, they're not going to get a price for it that they're happy with, which is probably absolutely right, in a sense.
Yeah. So there's pluses and minuses. Excuse me. I've done some property transactions on priced blocks of units where the front units were near the street, which were fairly quiet, but the back units were on the train line. And you virtually, as the train went by, and we just discounted those. We sold them all because there's a price for everything. And shift workers and different people, they operate differently and, you know, whatever. So it's reflected.
There's a couple of added issues with these blocks as well, which I might point out. They're about 400 mil above what they call the 1 in 100 year flood line. So basically, the biggest rain in 100 years where water would rise to, you need to be you need to be at that point for construction. So the council generally works it out as a metre above where they think water would rise to. Now that's not really an issue for me here because I know that once I pour a slab on it, it's going to pretty much pick that up, and the way I can do earthworks, etc. You know, I'm not going to get charged the extra fees myself because I build so many houses. So there's that. Also, it sits in what they call a survey, which is a certain lie of the land. In this particular instance, that survey means that this property is affected by aircraft noise. Now, due to that aircraft noise, the codes for buildings says that you need to do some kind of attenuation to deal with that aircraft noise, and generally that can be double glazed glass, putting a particular living area on the side of a house, anything really that may just lower the impact of the noise to the residents of the home, whether it be tenants or owners. And usually, you know, if you're single story, it's not the end of the world. When you go up to a second story, you've got all sorts of issues.
Great. So if we go to the next one, you want me to do that? You can do it. You can just get the general idea here. Now, this is a feasibility cash, and this is the property itself. Now, this property is originally, they wanted 170,000, and Cade's got it down to 100. This is the one I'm talking about. So he's put together this little feasibility. He's got stamp duty, he's got legals, acquisition, mowing and whatever. And the requirement for this transaction is $110,000. And the legals for sale...
That's to settle the block.
Yeah. And the sales commission, now this commission to sell this property is $5,600. There's a marketing which we've got to do. Probably someone, maybe from another state, may even market this property and have an investor buy this property, almost sight unseen. 95%ers buy these things, superannuation funds who are looking for a return, who just want to not be in the stock market but buy property and have a belief that this property will go up in the long term. And we never sell these properties to our clients because this is that retail market that goes out there. But what you're seeing is how the wholesale transaction happens behind the scenes. Then there's project management fee, and virtually you've got a costing here, $158,000. Then you've got construction at $950 a square metre, a very, very good price. He's negotiated $170,000 for this transaction to build, and he's got $100,000 for land, and he's got all these costs in the middle. And the end result is it costs $328,000 to do this, and he's going to sell it for under $400,000 bucks. So there's a $71,000 profit.
And that's for a brand new 4-bedroom home, 1-2 kilometres from the beach. Unheard of.
So what the deal is for Cade in this, is this will be sold prior to building anything. In other words, it'll be sold as an idea. In other words, here's the land, here's the builder, here's the package, you sign here, turnkey operation. Let's have a look. That's the house. He's done lots of those. This is the plan of the house. So come in here, this entry, you've got a bedroom here, going past a nice galley type kitchen, open plan, a living area here, alfresco patio type arrangement. Around here, got the double garage, got a laundry in there, got a bedroom, got a bedroom, got a bedroom, and then you've got this bathroom, separate toilet, and ensuite to the main bedroom here. It's a very basic house, 180 square metres, something like that?
Yeah, 180 square metres, including about 4 metres for your portico, which is your area over your front door, and then roughly 10, 11 square metres for your outdoor patio, but that is considered living area. They work it out, any living area under the main roof. So.
And what will that rent for, that house, approximately?
Well, it's going to get $400 a week every day of the week. It'd probably get about $420, I think, even in the position it's in. So essentially what this is I've designed a house and land package that suits the investment market, not the owner-occupier market, due to the yield that the house will get by buying a brand new house. And I guess the general rule of thumb is, on a retail market, if you can get over $1 a thousand a square metres in rent, you're getting yourself a really good buy, especially buying brand new, because your tax deductions are at a peak. So I have a property development company that has, it's evolved around an exit strategy of designing and selling investment products to, well, I'm actually selling all over Asia now. I know that this package at the price that I can sell it for is a good yielding property, and to an investor, they can pay this off quicker. It's a good product. Come time to sell it, they're still going to get a capital gain, and they'll be happy with selling it.
So Kate's got lots of transactions going, and what happens, he gets so full of the ones he's waiting for ones to settle and stuff, so he gets a money partner in me. And so I do that transaction and we work together. So he ties up the transaction, says, Roy, hey, do this. It was just a phone call, half an hour and we're done. Contracts are being organised, being transferred, being dealt with. We do it in a corporation, and we bring in other money partners to do transactions and do it quick. So this is for people who have trouble, I don't understand what you're talking about, how to find this and all that stuff. You can give fish to people for a long time, or you can teach them how to fish. We prefer to teach you how to fish. However, sometimes by watching some fishing going on, you go, ah, that's how you do it. So we're teaching you fishing here. Who's following this conversation with me somehow? So this is the house on the block. There's a bit of an easement there because it's a buffer. This is a bit more of the plan of the house. That's the roof, which is very interesting, and that's what it looks like in some elevation. They're the plans that are going into council. There's some three-dimensional views of the house. And all this can be put on a site, and one thing about Kate, he's very good with computers and stuff. He's got ways of laying it all out and putting it all together. So that's one block. And we've got a second block, which is a little bit, that's the bigger one, slightly bigger one. And he's doing exactly the same thing. This house is probably around a little over 420,000 roughly in that order. Makes about $80,000. So the two of those transactions, about $150,000 in profit. That's a good question. The question is, how quick is the turnover? Now, Cade's secured these blocks, negotiated with the, we call it when there's a problem, there's an opportunity. The government wants to get rid of that land. He's secured it. We just talked today about this. And he's negotiated the price down by another $5,000 on each block as well. 60-day settlement. And in Cade's history, he would normally have that sold in about 90 days, maximum 180 days. So if he does the transaction and goes on a 50-50 share with that, he picks up about $75,000 in 90 days. Is that good? Maximum 180. That's when you know what you're doing. The concept here is really finding the property. Now, RP data would be obviously a tool for that. Cade also has a lot of, he's been this a long time, so he's got relationships and he's got people. He has built relationships with agents. He doesn't do any building. He doesn't do any construction. He doesn't do any legals. He doesn't do anything other than be the entrepreneur to find the transaction. And if he doesn't do it himself, he'll bring a money partner in or a partner to do that transaction. And then he'll outsource all the selling. He outsources all of that for someone else to do, so he gets onto the next transaction. It's a money machine. Now, he'll often do transactions where he'll look at a subdivision and he'll pick up 10 blocks of land. And I'd like to show you something. We're just doing 10 right now in Ballina. And we've got $5 million worth of construction going on out there and similar types of transactions. And we bought blocks of land there, which we call the difficult blocks. We asked the developer, what's going on? He says, well, got these blocks, what's these blocks on the end? And when you look at them on, excuse me, this is a Ballina transaction. It's like this. There's all these blocks of land look like that. These end ones are duplex blocks. So these blocks here are like 400 square metres. These are 800 square metres. So everyone understand what a duplex block is? You can put two. So we have a house that looks like that with an interest there and interest there. Two separate houses with a wall between, two separate garages. These blocks were for sale at that time for about $350, and this was $390. So you got one block for $350, you got two blocks for $390. End up buying these for $375. So the land content on this is like $187,000. And compare 187 to 300, can you see how we make our profit? Now, Kate actually introduced me to the builder that's doing these transactions. Katrina's involved in these. We've got a number of people involved in those ones. And we pay, when we have our joint venture partners, if you want to know the system, we pay 10% interest on any money plus 20% of the profit. These transactions are making, for these people, something in the order of about $40,000 a time. So a person comes in with a super fund with $400,000 and turns it into $440 in 180 days. Then they do another one and turn it into $480. Then they do another one in another 180 days. And can you see what's going on? It's a very high return, isn't it? That's how to get your super fund working. You can even get a number of super funds to come in together and do those types of transactions. I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow with you. How do you get your money out of the hands of someone else and manage it and start managing your own money? How'd you go? Let's have a look at this one. So this is the house on the other side, 419.5, 180,000 for this block, a little bit more expensive because it's a bit bigger block. Again, he's got that for 100. Well, what we've now got, it hasn't been signed off on, but it'll be 95,000.
95, yeah.
Yep. So he's picked up another 10 grand into this transaction. And same kind of costs. This one makes $81,000. So the total profit for the transaction, $152,000. How long does it take you to save up $152,000 on your current savings program? I had a guy once tell me 87 years on his current plan. This transaction will be over and done with in 90 days, maximum 180 days. This is one of numbers that he does. Who's learning something here? Just curious, you're learning anything? Who's seeing some possibilities for themselves to get involved in these types of things, yeah? This is right around the corner, I can tell you, street after street. That Ballon transaction, Katrina and I, we were going to the airport, I think, and we just saw the sign and rang them up and walked in there. And I think we bought the 5 blocks on the way to having something to eat. And all we did was take an option for 2 years with a very small deposit. I think you get 5% on those ones that you did deposit, yes?
Sorry, on these blocks?
On these ones?
$5,000, so yeah, 5%.
$5,000 down.
Which is far too much money, by the way. I hate paying those kind of deposits.
As a government, you've got to kind of work with them a little bit. Yeah. So $5,000, he's securing $150,000. Is there leverage in that money? That's the only money he's going to use. In fact, he's going to get that money back from his money partner that's doing the transaction. In fact, the money partner gets paid first on that transaction, and the money comes out. So I've got some questions at the back. Just get a microphone, it's right next to you.
Thank you. So is the $5,000 all money that you had to use for this transaction out of your pocket?
If we were using an option, then what they call the option fee, which is similar to the deposit, yes, that would be right. In this case, though, I have actually purchased and will be settling the blocks of land, purely because it is the government, and I'm dealing with a law firm in Brisbane called Clayton Utes, and I'm not sure who's had much dealings with those guys. I've had a lot, and they're pretty tough. To simplify the deal, we're doing purchasing contracts to buy the blocks, which is why I've got the price to where it is. And by the way, if I might just add, Roy, if anybody's, I guess, a little bit sceptical by the price that we're going to sell the block for compared to the price that we're purchasing it for, the reason there's such a discrepancy is there's 2 value adds to the block. The first one is the genuine value that the block has on the market through a local real estate agent to sell it to somebody who would like to build a home there and live in it. So the block's not worth a lot of money. It might be worth a little bit more than I've paid, let's say 120, 130, to sell it within 30 to 45 days. You'd probably find a local down there, pick it up and go, wow, that's a good buy. So I have purchased the blocks under market by taking both of them. The The vendors, being the government, tried to purchase, had lots of offers to sell the larger block because it was a nice block, and nobody wanted to touch the back block. So by structuring investment products, I know that it's not going to affect what I'm doing in any way whatsoever. So by buying as a package, I was able to get a discount, and through my negotiation skills, generally through providing logic and reason for why the blocks aren't worth what they were asking, I was able to purchase the blocks for the price I did. Secondly, we then have a value uplift by actually packaging a house onto it, and purely by design, not by construction, I was able to increase what that block of land is worth. So what I say by that is a house and land package together has a value to an investor, to somebody who doesn't have time to go and find a block and then design a house, find a builder. It's overwhelming, it's risky to those kind of people, etc., etc. They're happy to pay a price for a house and land package, and through doing this so many times, I'm very aware of what those prices are, and the figures that I'm looking to sell these at are very sharp prices for what you can buy brand new 4-bedroom house and land packages this close to the beach. So by breaking that price backwards into a construction and a land price, I know that I can on-sell the blocks for those figures that I've put into that feasibility. So somewhere around the middle of that, or maybe 35 to 40% of the price that we're of the difference in the profit of the land is probably where you'd see a local buyer pay fair market value for the block and buy it. I've picked it up, you know, let's say 30, 40 grand under what it could sell for through the package, and then I've uplifted the value through turning it into an investment package.
Adding value. Coming back to your question, the answer is he's only put 5,000 in. Because what he's done is then said, well, I'm going to get a money partner in that'll provide the money to do the transaction, and I'll give half my profit away. So his real money is $5,000.
I actually haven't paid it.
Hasn't paid it?
Yeah, I should have. I've negotiated with them to hold off, so, which is, once again, I didn't have to pay, so I got to put the capital elsewhere.
So we're talking about nothing. What sort of return is 75,000 with nothing, and what sort of percentage is that? Infinite. Yeah. Infinite return. But if you put 5,000, and you get your 5,000 back as well, because that comes back out of the transaction because it's part of the deposit.
So just another question, if I may. So that really just depends on how well you negotiate the time frame.
The time and the deal, yeah.
Until they get their money.
It's not the price only; it's the conditions under the agreement. We call, you know, when we talk to a real estate agent, we talk about is there any conditions? Can we have some conditions or some terms? We call it. I said, what do you mean? Well, we'd like a delayed settlement. Kate's got a 60-day settlement on this because they want to, because he's dropped the price, so they want it quicker. If you go back to 100 or 110, 120, you might get longer terms. When the government's involved, they like to get it over and done with because they're not interested in that, they just want to get to the next one, next. When it's an individual, you can do these for 6 months, for 12 months, and have plenty of time to put all of the process together. So when you have an option on something, an option is a right, not an obligation to do anything. So you have a contract, you have an option agreement. So if I was doing the thing there that we did with our example, Cleopatra, I would get a contract from her, and with that I've got a one-pager which is my option agreement. There's only 5 things on the option agreement. It tells me the agreed price, how long I'm going to take to do it, how much deposit I'm paying, and any special conditions. And that's it. And it's subject to this contract as well. So if I exercise the option, then the contract comes into play. And what we do in that particular agreement is to say we want to on-sell our option to the buyer, in this case were the 2 people sitting on the stage. So they take over my responsibilities. And that's how we do that. This one is he's going to settle, but he's not going to use any of his money, he's going to use the money partner's money to do the settlement. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's just have a look at this transaction, what it looks like. There's this house, is that still Banksia? I thought it was a different house. No, there's a different house. Is it?
No, that's the same house. The working drawing style house that you found on the last document there, that was the house I designed for that block, which I've since changed. But anyway, all I've done is make it a bit smaller to reduce the price of the package down, because I know investors are looking for low 4s to purchase house and land in the market at the moment.
Okay. This house here's a little different though, isn't it, this one?
That house was actually designed. I actually did these deals back in September using my own capital was the original idea. I was going to build a house on it, actually construct that house and sell it through the local market, and my feasibility showed about $150,000 in profit just out of that one block of land doing that project, which was why I was going down that path. Now, I've had it under finance, and I was even considering living in that project for a very short period of time, because you can have one principal place of residence at a time, where the Australian government says that it's your own home. Any money you make on that project, you don't pay any tax. With the tax rate that I'm currently running at, you know, even at the corporate tax rate of 30%, you know, I'm saving $50,000 in taxation there for the sake of just moving into it for a few days before I sell it, which is completely legal, by the way. A lot of people think that you've got to live in them for at least 6 months. It's actually a myth. And it is taken from the date that you purchase the land, not the date that you take occupancy of the property anyway. My ideas since changed. I've got a lot of projects on the go, land subdivisions, a lot of these kind of deals, and basically I'm just freeing up my own capital and requested Roy to come in and assist me here, and we do this together, which is why I'm here today.
That's good. Okay, we learned some things. Anyone else got some questions? Stunned. Microphone over here, microphone there. What that was, that recording. Are you recording this correctly? Yes, perfect. Go ahead. Over here, put your hand up because she can't find you. And someone else had their hand up here.
Trevor, Richard Branson in my second life. I was just wondering, Roy, how the teams work remotely. Back to our teams now, and I was just wondering how, if there's properties in Rockhampton and properties here, and how if the negotiators in the Gold Coast, how does that help me in Rockhampton?
Sure. It's a great question, and what I'll be doing, we've got clients who are in Rockhampton. We've got clients in Townsville and in Cairns. We've got clients all over the place. However, what I'd be doing, and I'd say this for anybody, I'd be building my team. And I'd be saying, hey, I'd approach people that I wanted in my team, and I'd say, and there'll be a point here where you do this for yourself, and I get you to select seven people that's going to be your dream team, your magnificent seven. And if I wanted to have you in my team, I'd come and I'd have a conversation like this. I'd say, Trevor, I've just been to a program, I learned some great things, and I'm going to build the team. And I understand you're a pretty clever guy, you've got this and that and certain skills and whatever, and I want you to be on my team. I've got 7 people. And they asked us to pick generous, good hearts, people who are sincere, people who want to really build something and are committed to building some wealth. And your name came up in my mind, so that's why I'm here to talk to you. You see that? Can you hear that conversation? Now, he can either say yes or he can say no. If he says no, that's fine, move on. If he says, yeah, I'd like to know more about that, give him my book, give him whatever you want to, get him to come and do this program, get him to be processed through this, they become your team. That's your best possibility. This machine will do it for you. Now, and there are people in this room that are, who knows people who've done our program? Just put your hand if you know people who've done our program. Put your hand nice and high. Some of you will, whether I don't know, they might have said, hey, I want you in my team, and you're here to have a look for yourself, and then you may join them, and now you're a bit more enthusiastic because now you understand what this is all about. And that's what I'd be doing. In other words, if you're lucky, you want to stay in Rockhampton, I'd be doing Rockhampton, you know, because that's going to be simple for you. If you want to say, look, I'd like to learn a few things on some of these things down the Gold Coast, I want to watch some of them, you can watch some of those and have a look and learn. You can be an observer, you can even be a participant if you want. But I think it's better that you build your own team.
Trevor, if I was in your team, I'd be able to help you with the feasibility side of things. You know, in Rockhampton, you should be able to find somebody who can, I guess, look at any market and work the numbers out. You don't just need to stay focused, you know, specifically to 5 kilometres of where you live, like Roy was teaching. I mean, that's a great way to I guess focus.
Focus, what it is. It's just for convenience, and it stops the very thing that Kate's selling to, and he used a point, he told me about a person who supplies him with a lot of clients from South Australia. And a South Australian may buy this and never even look at it. Now, can you see the challenge with sight unseen? That's always a surprise when you do find. Now, the house will be lovely and all that stuff, but that's not the same as local knowledge. And you, in this case, you're the buyer, you know, and you want to buy very well. So in a lot of ways, I prefer you to be local. I'm interested in the longer term thing. As you build your confidence and know what you're doing, you can buy anywhere in the world. If you're going to buy in Gold Coast, you're going to buy in Melbourne, why aren't you buying in China? Because you've got about as much control. So, and there's some really good deals in China right now. However, that's not what I'd be recommending. I want you to look after your area, so I'd be going that way. Cade would be okay with that because he knows that. He could buy in Rockhampton. He'd do his research because he's just very experienced. If you're not that experienced, I'll be saying buy local and just check it out that way. Okay?
So can the, like if I found properties in, like I'm a building designer myself and we do town planning applications for clients the whole time. I have family who are real estate agents. So we have half a team already.
Yes, sounds like it.
Is there an opportunity to team with, you know, you people or people in the audience as like to find buyers or find investors? Like, is there?
Yeah,
is that something that?
There's two questions there. To find investors, to find buyers. It won't be these people who do it, or there are people external that do this, that bring those buyers in. And what we never want to have a conflict with our clients. We don't want them buying our stuff because we're selling it at retail. And we're very happy for you to join with us on wholesale transactions, yeah, but we don't do retail to you. So, but the answer is yes, and you're going to learn we have a mentoring program here that goes on from this if you want to have more things, but rather than those questions, we can hang on to those till later, because what we're really trying to just show you some examples of transactions. We could spend all day just on this one thing. In fact, we could do all tomorrow and the next day as well. There's a lot to learn. We've got many things we want to really cover. Great question, though. Good job. Anyone else? Any question on this particular thing or anything that's, yeah, right here?
Sometimes when you put together a package that's such good value, do you ever find it hard to get a buyer because they think it's just too good?
No, because if they thought it was too good, I'd be putting the price up to start with.
Correct.
I price my packages, I guess you could say I'm unconsciously competent at doing it because I've done it so many times. So, and when I say that, I mean I do it without thinking. It's like driving a car. But if I was a step back from that stage and I had to really consider it, I'd be using programs like RP Data, which I still do use, and I did put together for Roy in this instance, to show the median house price in the area, to make sure that we're not selling 10% above the median price, as Roy said before, to find out what products are selling in the area for the price ranges. So for a direct sort of answer in this case here, the first house at $399,000. Now, if you do an RP Data search within 2-3 kilometres from that site, you won't find many houses sold under $400,000 in that area at all. And that's being second-hand, 30 years old, termites, anything. You'll find a lot of duplexes selling between $300,000 and $400,000. You'll find a couple of homes at about $360,000 to $380,000 that probably had problems and were probably sold under market value. But generally, all the resale value of 3 and 4 bedroom homes in that area, maybe a little bit bigger but inferior in finish and quality and age, have generally sold over $400,000. So by me selling a 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, double lock-up garage and an alfresco area with brand new fencing, landscaping, driveways, blinds, security screens, stone benches, air conditioners, everything that anyone would expect to live in, you know, comfort in that home at $399,000, I'm actually doing somebody a favour. Now the price is low, but it's low because it's next to the M1. So that's factored in to the purchase price to the investor, and it'll be factored back out at time of them selling. But there are people in the market who want to buy house and land. They want to buy a 4-bedroom home. That's their peak of an investment, and they don't have enough money to buy on the Gold Coast because generally you're $450 plus. So to somebody who only has $400,000, that'll turn out to be a really good investment property. So, you know, this is a win-win-win for everybody. The capital partner will make great money. I'll pick up a lot of money very quickly, and the investor, who's the end user, is going to get a great investment product. I don't hold long term, and I see now that Roy doesn't teach to. However, for people who do hold long term, this will be a good product. So I guess to answer your question is there's always a buyer in any market for any product at a price. The only reason your product won't sell is if it's too high in price. and that's called the law of, I guess, the law of supply and demand. So, you know, if it's not selling, it's too dear. The other thing we've got to consider is valuations. We need to settle these deals when we sell them. If a property valuer won't see my vision of what I'm looking to do here, because they do value it as a house and land package without seeing my vision, they go down to the block when the grass is this high. They see that it's been on the market for a long time. They see that Ray White even had it listed at a lower price than what I've on-sold the blocks for, etc., etc. And that's a whole nother avenue of the market that I need to control. So a lot of my day-to-day is taking property valuers to lunch, making sure that I know them all intimately, on a sophisticated level. There's no drinking or any of those kind of things. I take them out and I respectfully ask for their information on the market. I pay for lunch. I always provide value. I do things like Roy said about giving gifts, etc. at Christmas, which I call the law of reciprocity. If you do something for somebody or give to somebody, they feel obliged, being human beings, to reciprocate that gesture of kindness and give something back to you. So part of me being unconsciously competent in pricing my packages is knowing the property valuers, knowing the market, and knowing where valuations will come in at a rock bottom price, because I know what has been sold, and valuers need to use that information. So if I know everything about what's been sold in the area, I know they can't put sales on that valuation that aren't in line with my property. And it's very rare that when I sell property that I get valuations that come in out of line, because, you know, most of them know me and respect me. They respect my company. They know I'm not out there selling high price products, which there are a lot of companies doing what I do with very inflated prices. They're not ethical companies, and you get that in every industry. But yeah, to answer your question correctly, it's all about price.
Good job. Good job. All right, who's learned some things? Thank you very much. Good. Give him a big hand. Come on, let's give him a big one. Good job. All right, so we're now looking at some different types of things. Now we're looking at transactions, we're doing options, we're doing transactions that we're building things, and looking at that, we're going to do some other ones. This is the RP data search that Cade provided on this, and this is the sort of showing the block and what's going on. Gee, there was a whole stack of RP data on this, not just you looking up RP data, but Mel had a printout for all the comparisons and done. Unfortunately, you probably didn't get it. We'll maybe get it shown later, but you could maybe get Mel up here just to find that for him, and then he could put it on. Okay. So, let's get some feedback here, what we're actually learning. What are we getting from all this? Yes? Problems can be opportunities in disguise. We had a guy came to us and said, I want to do $1 million, I've got to do it in a year. I ain't got time for 7 years. This young fellow, I said, well, what's the issue? He said, well, I'm in a hurry. Now, do you think Cade is a tortoise or a squirrel or an owl? Is he a hare? Do you hear how he speaks? That's what hares speak like. And he's got vision. And so that's what's necessary. And behind that, he's looking for partnership and people to make sure that not only he makes all the money, he gets to keep it. Making money is the simplest thing in the world. Keeping it's another issue.